What's up everybody, Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, but I first want to give a huge thank you to Omaze for sponsoring this week's update. I'm excited to be partnering with Omaze to offer you guys the chance to win a Hummer EV Edition 1 and support a great cause, Rebuilding Together. You can go to omaze.com/MattMoranMotor to enter for your chance to win it. And I just reviewed one of these this week, and it's a wild truck with 1,000 all-electric horsepower and a 3-second 0 to 60 time that I bet will make you giggle like I did, along with all the cool modes and features it has, like crab walk and extract modes to go over just about any terrain. Plus it has 4-wheel steering, removable roof panels, a power opening frunk, and lots of other cool technology like the hands-free Super Cruise system. These are so hot and popular that there's currently over 90,000 pre-orders for them and a years-long wait list. So this is your chance to skip the line and potentially take home this $112,000 super truck much sooner for yourself. By the way, taxes and shipping are included for winners in the US as well, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Instead, if you win, you can just focus on enjoying the Hummer EV and the hilarious entertainment of all the stares, comments, and questions you'll get every time you take it for a drive. Plus, your entries benefit the amazing work of Rebuilding Together, which makes essential home repairs for those that need them. So for your chance to win this Hummer EV Edition 1, head on over to omaze.com/MattMoranMotor and enter now. Also, before I get into the news, one other quick thing I want to mention is that I will be doing a live stream this weekend on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss it, and hopefully you can join if you're around. But getting into the news this week here, first off, Honda has announced pricing for the 2023 Civic Type R, and they also announced it's going to be at dealers now, so it's basically showing up as we speak. By the way, anyone curious about my review, I'm going to the second media drive, so I will be posting my review on November 15th of the Type R whenever I do finally drive it here in a couple of weeks. But anyway, it's going to be starting at $43,990 including destination. So 44 grand basically, which is the exact same price as the GR Corolla Circuit Edition, which might be coincidence, might not be. It's just kind of funny. It's identical with pricing, and you know that gives you the all-wheel drive. You also get the carbon fiber roof and all that, and you can get a cheaper GR Corolla, but it doesn't have some of the features the Type R has, like the nicer seats. You also don't get like the heated seats, things like that. So anyway, and also the Corolla has a little bit less space than the Civic. I haven't driven the new Type R yet, so I'll be curious to kind of compare them in that video, so stay tuned again and subscribe for that. But yeah, so anyway, 44 grand. Let me know in the comments below what you would pick between the two. And some commenters on Instagram also pointed out that that's basically like 10 grand more expensive than an Elantra N. And I have to agree that, yes, you get, like 39 more horsepower with the Type R versus the Elantra N, but we'll see. I know it's not going to have an exhaust as loud as the Elantra N and as much customization as that car does. So I don't know. I'll have to drive it and I'll reserve my judgment for then if it's worth 10 grand more than the Elantra N. But anyway, Honda also shared the fuel economy for the Type R as well, saying it'll get 22 mpg in the city, 28 on the highway, and 24 combined. So pretty standard, pretty good though for a vehicle, with this much power and front wheel drive. So cool to see that. Also, Honda has teased the 2023 Accord, which they're calling all new, even though the past spy shots we've seen of the refreshed Accord here look like it's going to be like a refresh or a heavily reworked version, but they're claiming it's going to be all new. They're calling it the 11th generation of the Accord. So it could be that it just shares some similarities with the previous generation, just styling wise, potentially. It just was mostly that window line that looked very much identical to the current Accord. We'll see, again, what ends up happening. But they are saying it's going to bring excitement back to the midsize sedan segment with sleek new styling, a more responsive and fun-to-drive hybrid powertrain, and Honda's first integration of Google's built-in for seamless on-the-go connectivity. So that infotainment system will be the largest ever in a Honda, with a 12.3-inch touchscreen there they showed off. They also say the cabin will be all new and appears to get the same digital gauges as the new top versions of the Civic do, at least in this hybrid touring trim that they're showing here. And the styling looks great so far. I especially like that back end. I think it looks really nice. As far as powertrains go, don't expect anything too exciting. The hybrid system's most likely going to be the same exact one they just put in the new CR-V hybrid I just reviewed, which means you get, I think 3 more horsepower and some drivability improvements, but, it shouldn't be super exciting. If they really want to bring excitement back to the, Accord 1, they could re-add the manual again, which was dropped a couple of years ago. And, they could offer some type of like SI version or some type of, Type R version. Any of that kind of stuff would be welcome and really bring excitement back to it. But I'm sure the improvements will be great. I mean, the styling looks like it's going to be great as well. And the Accord's, I think, still probably my favorite mid-size sedan if you're going for non-performance stuff. It's still just so good with the way that it drives. And so I'm expecting this one to be very impressive as well. And so anyway, they say it'll be debuting sometime in November. They didn't say exactly when. My guess would be maybe the LA Auto Show. We're still waiting on the new pilot reveal, which has been basically revealed, but not fully yet. So that's got to come first, and then this is going to come. So I'm guessing later in November, hence the LA Auto Show, but we'll see. Anyway, that's a surprise, though. I wasn't expecting to see the new Accord until late this year or early next year, since Honda was calling this the year of the SUV. To see them rolling out a sedan too is great news. So anyway, interesting to see that. And the last little bit of Honda news is that the Passport is losing its front-wheel drive trim for 2023, making it all-wheel drive only now across the range and also more expensive. I've been talking the past few weeks about Honda raising prices and dropping some of their base trims and other models, and so the same thing happens with the Passport here. So last year, the Passport already jumped up a good bit because they dropped the Sport trim, and so the cheapest trim you could get was an EXL, which seems strange from a marketing standpoint that the EXL, which is like this premium or at least mid-grade trim, is now a base trim. But anyway, they're still calling it the EXL here, but just the front wheel drive EXL is now gone, and all wheel drive EXL is now the cheapest Passport. And so there's a general Passport price increase of $1,200 this year, but the with all wheel drive and all that now, the 2023 Passports will be starting at $42,395, including destination, which makes it $3,300 more expensive to get into a Passport than last year if you were okay with front wheel drive last year. So again, all these Hondas are getting higher and higher with their pricing, and again, part of that's inflation, but part of that's also them trying to maximize profits at all of these car companies. And, right now, with, tight demand and all that, people are willing to pay for those upper trims. And so, they're just dropping these, lower trims, at least for now. I hope they bring back the lower trims eventually once they realize that wages aren't rising with these inflation costs and people aren't getting richer automatically and being able to, spend this kind of money responsibly for a long period of time, So anyway, we'll see what happens, but interesting to see that. And we got a bunch of Volkswagen news this week, and a lot of it's very good news here. So for the first great bit of news here, Volkswagen's CEO announced on LinkedIn that they're listening to customers and are bringing back real buttons on the steering wheel. One of the most commonly complained about things, aside from the infotainment in those new, Volkswagens, was the fact of having those capacitive touch buttons. A lot of people didn't like. They're getting rid of that stuff. So that's something their CEO actually confirmed on LinkedIn, which is cool. They're kind of just casually dropping that. But also a Volkswagen representative told Autoblog, don't be too excited just yet, because the first car that will have this change likely won't be showing up in the US until late 2024. So we got 2 more years of capacitive touch stuff here before, we'll have these changes. But the CEO also added that we are sharpening our portfolio and our design, plus creating a new simplicity in operating our vehicles. So hopefully this means, the return of volume knobs and maybe some other buttons to control some stuff. So it's not all capacitive touch everything. And so it's just great to see Volkswagen responding to feedback. A lot of car companies and Volkswagen as well in the past have, just been like, oh, well, this is what we're doing. We're sticking with it. And for better or worse, that's what they've stuck with. And, it is what it is. But, the fact that Volkswagen's like, hey, we realize people don't like this stuff. Let's change is, actually kind of refreshing to see in the automotive world here. So great to see that. And some other Volkswagen news here. They revealed the 2023 GTI 40th Anniversary Edition just a few weeks after showing off the Golf R's 20th Anniversary Edition. And so this GTI celebrates 40 years in the US, and this one will only be sold in the US. And it's a really cool combo, actually. I think this is actually my favorite trim for the GTI, at least for this model year. So it takes the base S trim, actually, and all its plaid seat glory, and adds in the features you usually can't get on the base trim, like the DCC adaptive dampers and speed-sensitive steering. And you also get along with that the unique graphics you see here, 19-inch wheels from the European version that are on summer tires, also something you usually can't get on the base GTI. And the best part is that it only starts at $34,150 for the manual version, which also goes back to a golf ball shift knob design too for that manual. which is great. And that also heavily undercuts other GTIs, that have those adaptive dampers with, the Autobahn versions being like over 40 grand. And the DSG version goes up to $35,950. But that again is still thousands less than a 40 grand Autobahn. And they also come in 2 exclusive colors, Tornado Red and Urano Gray, along with Opal White and Omelo Yellow. And so, cool that they're offering a few different colors there, but I think that red, really looks great with the red accents. And if you want one, you better act fast though, because Volkswagen says they only plan to sell approximately 1,500 units, and my guess is there's going to be way more than 1,500 people that want one of these. It really seems like a perfect sweet spot, and a great value here. You get a special edition vehicle without having to get a fully loaded car, and it's a reasonable price, and it's a really nice combination of the adaptive dampers and some great looks and those awesome plaid seats. If I were getting a GTI this year, hands down, this is the one I would get. So anyway, cool to see that. Volkswagen CEO also gave an investor presentation this week where he revealed some of the other plans for the company, which Autocar has done a few reports on here. So first, about the R models, the CEO here said Volkswagen is gradually converting its portfolio with several electric R models in the planning stages, and he also added that we're currently assessing various concepts and possibilities, but will only offer R models that meet our requirements. One thing is certain, the future of R is electric. And I mean, we already knew that, all the Volkswagen Group stuff was going to be going electric eventually with their pledge to, go fully EV by, I think, 2030. But it's good to know at least there will be some R stuff, in the mix there down the road as well. And, they will have some very impressive performing stuff, even if it is electric. And, so we'll have to see how that materializes and what form, those take. But also on top of that, he revealed that Volkswagen is working hard to develop an additional compact SUV based on the ID.3, along with saying there's going to be like 9 other new or facelifted EVs that will launch by 2026, at least in Europe. So we'll see how many of those come to the US. But these days, I think it makes sense to send most of them to us. I know the ID.3 we don't get because it's too small, but an ID.3 size crossover, that's basically a subcompact crossover. Those sell very well here, so hopefully, we'll at least get that. And I think it makes sense to give us everything else too that's going to be, probably a little bit larger. So they also said that some of the other models coming are 2 more affordable models, one being a small car and the other being a sporty crossover variant. I really hope, I know the small car is probably going to be some type of, little hatchback beneath the ID.3, but it'd be really cool to see the Beetle make a comeback as the small car, but I'm sure that's wishful thinking. And so otherwise here, he says that they're going to have the broadest EV lineup in the industry by 2026, saying from the entry-level e-car with a target price of under 25,000 euros to the Volkswagen ID Buzz and the new flagship Volkswagen ID Aero, we will have the right offer in every segment. And I mean, he's only been on the job here for 100 days as the new CEO of Volkswagen, but he really seems fired up about the direction of the brand and says people have smiles on their faces and pull out their smartphones when they see a Beetle, microbus, or GTI. To us, our heritage is not a burden, but a real asset. And that's exactly what we want to build on again. Internally, I said to my team, Volkswagen has to become a love brand again, a friendly brand that people like, a brand that listens and offers exactly what our customers want, especially in the electric and digital age of mobility. And I mean, that's music to my ears. That sounds great, and I 100% agree with him. I think that, that heritage stuff is really the strongest thing about Volkswagen, not sterilized, boring stuff. And so, I think this is great, and I think that the Buzz means they're definitely on the right track in bringing that back. But again, a really good way to have, a lovable Volkswagen is the love bug, the Beetle. So anyway, my last little pitch for a Volkswagen Beetle return. But anyway, very exciting. Sounds like they got lots of great stuff in the pipeline. And so, rooting for them. Hopefully they have some great stuff here coming down the road. And one news story that I missed last week, because it came out right after I filmed the weekly update last week, was the GMC Sierra EV that they revealed here, the 2024 Sierra EV. So it gets many of the same tricks as the Silverado EV, but I think looks really great. You got those cool LED accent lights there in the usual headlight space, and the actual projectors they put down lower to intentionally reduce nighttime glare for oncoming drivers, which is very much appreciated. And I know that, the split headlight thing is something that's kind of a trend we've been seeing, but it really is nice that they're so low, and I hope that continues in other future vehicles. But anyway, other cool touches are the mid-gate that debuted in the Silverado that allows you to fold down the seats for extra long objects. And you also get the 4-wheel steering system that will do crab walking that debuted in the Hummer, which is something you actually don't get in the Silverado, so it's exclusive here to this and, GMC's, I guess, for now. And then the Denali Edition 1 that you're seeing here is going to be the launch version, and that has an air suspension that can raise and lower by 2 inches. But still should be somewhat capable off-road, even though it's on those 24-inch wheels. And the Denali will be the only one available here at launch, but the more affordable AT4 and Elevation trims will be arriving for the 2025 model year. And so anyway, these are all on the Ultium platform, and they get the same batteries and motors as the Silverado EV, doing 754 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque. And when it's in its max power mode, it'll do it a 4.5 seconds 0 to 60, which is a 50% increase from the 3-second time of the Hummer, even though the horsepower is only 25% less. And also, this is more road friendly than the Hummer with the tires and stuff, so I'm kind of surprised it's that much slower than the Hummer. Anyway, if those power numbers also sound higher than the Silverado EV, they are, and that's previously I think that had 600 some horsepower, but Chevy came out this week to add that the Silverado will also now get this higher power rating of 754 horsepower, which is great for those reservation holders that automatically are now getting more power. We don't have any exact battery specs here, but GMC says the pack is similar to the one in the Hummer EV, and that it will do about 400 miles of range and 350 kilowatt charging, just like the Hummer, which is great. Other specs are 9,500 pounds of towing capability, which is 2,000 more than the Hummer, but the payload is the same low 1,300 pounds as the Hummer. Inside, though, it gets a totally unique interior compared to the Chevy and the Hummer, with a 16.8-inch vertical touchscreen that has a volume knob in the middle of it, which is just like the Mach-E and the Lightning, which is kind of funny. But unlike the Ford screen, this has some nice metal trim around it and physical toggles there at the bottom of it, so it has a much more polished and integrated look. Like, this is definitely a much better look than the Lightning and the Mach-E for sure. And so I think it's like GMC took that idea and then made it better. Other things here is that the gauge cluster is an 11-inch screen, and there's a head-up display as well. It also should feel more luxurious with genuine wood everywhere, even in the wireless phone charger area, which is kind of crazy. And hopefully there's more metal trim here than the metal-looking plastic that the Hummer uses. It's clear, though, that you're trading some performance for luxury compared to the Hummer, because the price of this fully loaded Denali Edition 1 is basically the same as the Hummer, starting at $108,695, including destination. And so I don't blame you if you're shocked by that, starting price there. But clearly, lots of buyers don't mind it at all. With GMC closing reservations just 4 days after debuting this thing, after the reservation page, I guess, maxed out. As I don't know how many reservations they say they took, but they're maxed out. Supposedly, they say they will reopen reservations in 2024 for the lower priced ones, with GMC targeting a $50,000 starting price, much more reasonable for that Elevation trim that'll have less power and less range as well. But for these first Denali's, though, GMC told Automotive News that they'll open ordering up to current Denali owners first, and then later to the public in limited numbers. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with those reservations they just took, this past week, and how that factors in. But anyway, if the Silverado is 110,000 pre-orders, or any indication, same thing, 90,000 pre-orders for the Hummer. All these GM trucks are going to be sold out well into the late 2020s at least, and it clearly shows there's a ton of demand for these, six-figure electric trucks. I don't know how many people are out there. Apparently, there's over 200,000 people already in line before this GMC just to buy these six-figure trucks, but apparently there's hundreds of thousands more waiting, trying to get into one of these as well. So crazy stuff. And anyway, interesting to see that. And I think it's a really nice truck, though, nonetheless. And so well done, GMC. Alfa Romeo this week has revealed facelifts for the Giulia and Stelvio for the 2023 model year. So they both get sharp new headlights, a slightly changed grille for better cooling. You also get slightly darker taillights, and the new digital gauges from the Tenale, which include this retro-looking heritage mode that I love. I love retro-looking digital gauges like that, and this one is one of the best ones I've seen. And mechanically, they're the same still here as far as all the powertrains and stuff like that. But I'm just glad to see this Stelvio and especially the Giulia are sticking around, because especially the Giulia these days with sedans dropping left and right, and the Giulia is not selling well. As in addition, I'm amazed they're honestly even doing a refresh for this. I'm very happy they are, and I think the Giulia is still a fantastic car. I hope that maybe with these refreshes I'll get another chance to drive one again, because I loved my time in one back 5 years ago or whatever. But great to see it sticking around. I think this is a really nice update to keep it fresh. And anyway, so great to see that. Ford has given the Escape a nice refresh here for the 2023 model year as well, with a totally new look in the front and some mild tweaks in the back. And inside, the tech gets an upgrade with 8-inch screen standard for the gauges and infotainment, but upper trims get a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster and a 13.2-inch touchscreen now, which is huge in this little SUV. And that also gets wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Another change is the addition of a new ST line trim that paints the body cladding and gets other styling tweaks, along with a stiffer suspension when you order it with all-wheel drive. But unfortunately, there is no true ST version yet. Maybe that'll come eventually, who knows. The powertrains are carryover with 180 horsepower turbo 3-cylinder as standard. The 250 horsepower turbo 4-cylinder is an option, along with hybrid and the still front-wheel drive only plug-in hybrid sticking around, and again, just carryovers there as well. And the 2023 Escape is available to order now and starts at $28,995, which for a refreshing change here is only $315 more than the old Escape, which is basically nothing, and I honestly doubt that even keeps up with the inflation, but great to see they're keeping the Escape nice and affordable there, and they'll start arriving at dealers here in early 2023. Toyota this week has officially revealed the BZ3 for China only still for now. So there was a few leaks about this a few weeks back, but now we have a little bit of more official info and a few official pictures here. And so we know it's on the eTNGA platform like the BZ4X, but it uses batteries and motors from Chinese company BYD. So they kind of did a collaboration here to get this out a little quicker, I think. So I won't bother going into the specs for this Chinese version, but if it does come to the US eventually, expect the same powertrain stuff as the BZ4X. Maybe they won't offer an all-wheel drive version, but the front-wheel drive one should totally come over. Pretty much the same, I'm guessing. And it's targeting the Tesla Model 3 as far as the sizing of it. But in China, it's going to be about $8,000 cheaper than a Tesla Model 3. Now, whether the $8,000 savings is worth it, to have something that has less power and less range than what you get in the Tesla, we'll have to see. But if they kept that same price gap here in the US, that would mean that this would be around $39,000 to start, which, might be a tough sell. We'll see, if they actually do bring it here, what they would end up pricing it at. But anyway, yeah, interesting to at least get our first glimpse at that, and we'll see, if we get any more news on that down the road. Speaking of Tesla, though, on an earnings call late last week, Elon Musk revealed that Tesla is working on a new, smaller, next-generation platform that'll be about half the cost to make compared to their current platform. So, a lot cheaper to manufacture. And so this opens the door for potentially a smaller, more affordable Tesla at some point in the distant future, but we're still waiting on the Semi, Cybertruck, and the Roadster. So maybe count on a cheaper, smaller Tesla in like 2030 or something, but no, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. But anyway, still, I think that's great. Again, heading in the right direction, make these more affordable. We need more affordable EVs out there, so I think that's a great goal. Hopefully, they can get there relatively soon. And some other EV news here. Lotus has revealed a few more specs and details about the Eletre, which originally they said would have a minimum of 600 horsepower and a sub 3 second 0 to 60 time. But this week they revealed that the top R version will have 893 horsepower, a big jump from 600. And so that version is going to be the one that's going to be able to achieve the 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 now, they've confirmed, while the base S trim has to make do with 603 horsepower. What a bummer. Still is going to be crazy fast, even that base trim. There's also going to be 2 other trims that are going to be arriving by 2025 as well. But we still don't have any pricing details or other details here for the US, so we'll have to just wait and see what happens for that. But also this week we got a few more specs here about the top version of the BMW XM, which was previously called the Red Label. Now it's going to be called the Label Red, and instead of doing 735 horsepower, it'll now do 750 horsepower, they're saying. So we have one new image of it here, and it is interesting with the red outlines and stuff. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But anyway, that Red Label, I'm already scoring it up. Label Red version will be available in the fall of 2023. So about a year away. But, cool to see. It'll at least be a little bit more powerful than we were originally expecting. Another very powerful and very expensive German car coming is an e-performance version of the Mercedes-AMG S63. So they're, doing e-performance versions here slowly but surely of everything. And there isn't any official info or confirmation about the S63E performance. I actually haven't even really heard about it much, but my dealer source was able to confirm that this is in the system, in the dealer Mercedes system, supposedly, is an S63E performance, which, I mean, isn't a huge shock. I'm assuming they're going to do the E-performance thing for basically everything they offer AMG versions of in the lineup, but you know, cool to see that that sounds like that'll be the next one up here. So stay tuned for more news about that. As far as, you know, powertrain-wise, it'll probably be the same as the AMG GT63 SE Performance. Mouthful there. You know, that one did 843 horsepower and 1,084 pound-feet of torque, and probably a sub 3 seconds 0 to 60 time. You know, it's going to probably be the same stuff here in the S-Class, and, you know, take the spot as the new top S-Class now, since they're getting rid of the, you know, the V12s, I believe, and, you know, all the other stuff, you know. So I think this is the next logical step here. And so anyway, thanks to my dealer source for that info, and we'll stay tuned for more on that. Maserati this week has teased the GranCabrio with a few official spy photos here, and it looks exactly how you'd expect the new Gran Turismo to look without a roof. You know, Maserati's confirmed to Autoblog that the Cabrio will be getting the same 3 versions as the Gran Turismo. That includes the crazy Fulgore version, which is going to be wild to have 1,000 pound-feet of torque in a convertible. I'm impressed, honestly, that they're keeping that much power in a convertible from a rigidity standpoint. Hopefully there isn't too much flex in the chassis and all that. So anyway, but yeah, and if you missed all the details on the new Gran Turismo, I covered that a few weeks back. I'll link that above if you want to go back and watch that if you missed it. But it's all very impressive, and, you know, really nice how they're offering both gas and electric versions for people to choose. Also, moving on here, Porsche has debuted the 911 GT3 RS Tribute package this week, and surprisingly, it's only for the US, and it pays tribute to the 1972 Carrera RS with its graphics and colors here, and it'll be limited production, of course, and starts at $314,000. Moving on here, another nice little improvement is Lexus has announced a few improvements here for the ES for 2023, with the biggest one being a reworked interior that now has a touchscreen, along with the redesigned center tunnel area now that the controller pad, you know, is gone. And so it's the same kind of thing you saw when they switched over the RX for the previous generation, and also what we have currently with the IS. You know, they kind of did the same kind of tweaks with all those, which is great. I love that they're switching this over now instead of waiting for an all-new generation, keeping it, you know, fresh, and I just think it's great they're doing it, you know, a little bit quicker. So other changes here are a new F-Sport design and F-Sport handling package, just like on the IS. And the handling package unlocks Sport Plus and custom modes for the adaptive suspension, which I believe the adaptive suspension is the exclusive thing for the handling pack, and that's part of what, you know, justifies that package there. But it doesn't seem to get any other handling improvements beyond that. The IS, you know, I think it got a few other suspension tweaks and different wheels and stuff. I think this is, you know, basically the same otherwise, but, you know, nice you have the adaptive suspension there. And there's also a few other options and minor additions that have, you know, changed, but thankfully one other minor change is the price increase, with all these trims only going up by $390, which is, again, refreshing, and they should be available here soon. And for the last news story here this week, a Ford of Europe has confirmed that after 47 years of production, they will be ending production of the Fiesta in Europe in June of 2023 here. And so, you know, we already lost the Fiesta in the States a few years back, and that was already kind of a bummer, but they got a new generation over in Europe, and it sounded very impressive from everything that I'd seen, and it just seems like it hadn't sold well. Surprisingly, it's strange. I think they said the Vauxhall Corsa is like the best-selling thing in the UK, you know, compared to this, which is interesting, but hey, maybe the deals are better or whatever. I don't know, but it's just a bummer that even in a place where small cars are appreciated, the Fiesta still can't seem to stick around and sell well. And they already announced a few months back the Focus is also going away over in Europe. And so, I mean, part of this is, you know, I think like they just introduced the Puma over there, which is basically like a slightly larger Fiesta that's hopped up, you know, to be a little more like a crossover. And also, you know, they're trying to switch over to the electric stuff as fast as possible. So I think they're going to be partnering with Volkswagen to do some smaller little hatchbacks and stuff that are electric, you know, coming here relatively soon. But it's still sad just to see the Fiesta go after such a long run, especially in Europe where it was beloved even more than it was here in the States. It's just sad to, you know, see it go here. And so anyway, yeah, a little bit of a bummer, but Crazy to see that. And then the last thing I want to mention here before I go is I want to give a huge thank you to all of you who are members of the Matt Moran Motoring Club. So we did have one new member join this week. So I want to give a huge thank you to CG41386, who just joined this week. I very much appreciate the support. I hope you're enjoying the perks so far. And just thank you so much for your support of the channel. And for anyone else that would like to join and become a member of the channel here, there will be a link in the description, as well as join buttons here on the video page and on the channel page. And hopefully you guys are also enjoying the YouTube redesign that they did here for the video player and stuff. I think it's pretty cool, and so let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But yeah, anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all that stuff in the comments below. Be sure to also like, comment, and subscribe to help keep these weekly updates going. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.